You ever witness a moment so electric, so perfectly timed, that the whole wrestling world just stops breathing for a second? Because that's exactly what happened on Monday Night Raw, and if you weren't watching live, you genuinely missed one of those rare moments that reminds you why you fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. We're talking about Bianca Belair. We're talking about Stephanie Vaquer. And we're talking about a confrontation so loaded with tension, so dripping with unspoken war, that the internet hasn't stopped talking since. So sit back, get comfortable, and let Wrestling Impact break this down for you in a way that nobody else is going to, because this story? It's only just beginning. Now, before we get into Stephanie's reaction, we need to set the stage. Because if you don't understand the atmosphere in that arena the night Bianca Belair came back, you won't fully appreciate just how massive this moment really was. The WWE Universe had been starving. Bianca had been away, and that absence had created this strange kind of vacuum on Raw. You know how it is when a star of her caliber is off television. The show still runs, great matches still happen, great moments still unfold, but there's always this feeling like something monumental is just out of reach. Fans and arenas whisper about it. Social media buzzes with speculation every single week. When is she coming back? What's going to happen when she does? And the answer to that question turned out to be far more dramatic than even the most passionate fans had imagined. The night started like any other Raw. The pyro hit, the crowd was loud, the energy was there, but nothing felt out of the ordinary. And that's the thing about great professional wrestling television. The best moments always come when you're not fully prepared for them. The show was rolling along, match by match, promo by promo, when the atmosphere in that building suddenly shifted. You felt it before you heard it. That unmistakable charge in the air. That collective intake of breath from thousands of fans simultaneously realizing that something significant was about to happen. And then it happened. Bianca Belair's music hit. The crowd absolutely erupted. And that's not an exaggeration for the sake of drama. That was a legitimate, full-throat explosion of noise from an arena full of people who had been waiting for this exact moment. Bianca walked out with that signature confidence, that unshakable presence that she spent years building into one of the most compelling characters in all of professional wrestling. Her braids swinging, her eyes locked on the ring, her expression carrying that perfect combination of intensity and showmanship that makes her must-see television every single time. The crowd was on their feet. Signs were waving. Phones were out. People were losing their minds. And standing in that ring? Stephanie Vaquer. Now this is where the story gets genuinely fascinating, because Stephanie Vaquer isn't just some placeholder. She's not background scenery for Bianca's comeback moment. Stephanie Vaquer has been on a remarkable journey in WWE, and she came into this moment carrying her own fire, her own momentum, her own chip on her shoulder that is very, very real. She didn't step aside. She didn't back down. She stood in that ring and she looked at Bianca Belair walking down that ramp the same way a fighter looks at an opponent when the referee steps back at the center of the ring. No flinching. No hesitation. Just pure competitive fire. And that is what made this confrontation so absolutely compelling to watch. Because here's the thing about Stephanie Vaquer that casual fans might not fully appreciate yet. This is a woman who built her name through sheer relentlessness. She competed at the highest levels across multiple promotions, earned respect in environments that don't hand it out freely, and arrived in WWE with a resume that spoke volumes before she ever said a single word. She knows exactly who she is. She knows exactly what she's capable of. And when Bianca Belair's music hit that night on Raw, Stephanie Vaquer didn't look like someone who felt overshadowed. She looked like someone who had been waiting for this challenge. Bianca made her way into the ring, and the two women were face to face. Now if you've ever been in an arena for a moment like this, you know the specific kind of silence that falls right before something explosive happens. It's not quiet in the way that empty rooms are quiet. It's quiet in the way that a thunderstorm is quiet in the 30 seconds before the lightning strikes. The crowd was holding its breath. The energy was almost unbearable. And the words exchanged between these two women in that ring, the body language, the positioning, every single detail communicated something crystal clear. This rivalry was not a casual storyline. This was personal. This was competitive. This was two elite performers looking each other directly in the eyes and essentially saying, "I see you, and you should be afraid." Now let's talk about Stephanie's reaction in the aftermath, because this is where things get really interesting from a story perspective. When you have a moment that charged on live television, the response from the people involved often tells you everything you need to know about where the story is headed. And Stephanie Vaquer's reaction to all of it, to Bianca's return, to that confrontation, to the way the crowd responded, was absolutely masterful. Because she didn't shrink. She didn't celebrate the spotlight or play to the audience in a way that diminished the seriousness of what just happened. She came away from that moment looking like someone who had just gotten exactly what she wanted. A worthy opponent. A genuine challenge. A reason to go to war. Think about that from a storytelling perspective. In wrestling, the best rivalries aren't built on one person being good and one person being evil in the most cartoonish sense of those words. The best rivalries are built on two people who are both excellent, both ambitious, both fully convinced that they are the one who deserves to be at the top. And when you have that dynamic, when neither person is willing to step back, when both competitors bring legitimate credibility to the table, the results are almost always unforgettable. Bianca Belair has been there. She's headlined WrestleManias. She's held championships. She's main event pay-per-views. She has a career highlight reel that most wrestlers would trade anything to have. And Stephanie Vaquer has been building toward her own version of that legacy with a ferocity and a consistency that demands respect. So when these two end up in the same orbit, in the same ring, staring each other down on the biggest weekly wrestling show in the world, the question isn't whether this feud has the ingredients to be great. The question is just how great can it actually get. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the fan reaction to all of this, because the wrestling community online went absolutely nuclear after Raw went off the air. Social media was moving at warp speed. Clips were being shared everywhere. Fans were debating, celebrating, speculating, and in typical wrestling community fashion, everyone had a very loud opinion. The overwhelming consensus, though, was something that doesn't always happen in wrestling discussions online. Almost everybody agreed this was one of the most exciting developments on Raw in recent memory. Bianca's return alone would have been big news. Bianca's return leading immediately into this level of confrontation with Stephanie Vaquer? That was the kind of booking that makes you feel like you're watching something special in real time. And there were fans in that arena who captured the moment on their phones, and if you watch those videos, you can see something that tells you everything. People aren't just reacting to Bianca. They're reacting to both of these women. They're reacting to the confrontation itself. They understand the weight of it. They feel the stakes. And that's the mark of truly great professional wrestling, when the audience instinctively understands without needing a 10-minute explanation why something matters. These two athletes walked into that ring and within seconds, the crowd completely understood that this was a collision of two forces that could not coexist peacefully on Monday Night Raw, and they loved every single second of it. Let's also talk about timing for a moment, because in wrestling, timing is everything. The timing of Bianca's return, coming at this specific moment when Stephanie Vaquer's own momentum is building, when the women's division on Raw is at a particularly competitive and exciting place, it was impeccable. This isn't a coincidence. This is storytelling craft. When you bring someone of Bianca's star power back into the picture and you immediately position her across from someone like Stephanie Vaquer who has been establishing herself as a genuine force, you create an instant narrative that doesn't need much setup. The story writes itself. Two elite competitors. One stage. And something that is absolutely going to come to a head in the most dramatic way possible. The backstage atmosphere in the aftermath of moments like this is something fans rarely get to see directly, but anyone who follows wrestling closely enough can read between the lines. When a confrontation lands the way this one did, when social media explodes, when the crowd reaction is exactly as electric as you hoped, there's an energy behind the scenes that feeds back into the product. Performers feel validated. Creative teams feel the momentum they've been building pay off in real time. And most importantly, it sets the stage for everything that comes next with a level of anticipation and excitement that's genuinely difficult to manufacture. You can't fake the kind of buzz that came out of Raw that night. You either earn it or you don't. And these two women absolutely earned it. Now here's what I want you to think about as we look ahead. Where does this rivalry actually go from here? Because right now we're at the very beginning of what has the potential to be one of the most compelling women's feuds we've seen on Raw in a long time. The foundation has been laid. The confrontation happened. The challenge has been made, not necessarily in words, but in that silent, electric language that the very best professional wrestling communicates better than almost any other medium. Bianca Belair is back. Stephanie Vaquer is not backing down. And the WWE Universe is officially invested in whatever comes next. Will there be a match? Almost certainly. But how they build to it, what additional chapters get added to this rivalry before they have that match, that's where the real storytelling magic has an opportunity to happen. Will there be moments of psychological warfare? Probably. Will there be moments where one woman appears to gain the upper hand only for the other to come roaring back? Absolutely. Will there be a climactic encounter that leaves the audience with their mouths hanging open? If both of these performers have anything to say about it, and they do, the answer is a resounding yes. What I love most about where this story sits right now is the genuine unpredictability of it. Because you have two performers who are both capable of making you feel like either one of them could come out on top. And that's not something you can just manufacture with booking decisions alone. That requires authentic star power. That requires real credibility. And both Bianca Belair and Stephanie Vaquer have built that credibility through years of incredible work inside that ring and out. When either one of them speaks, you listen. When either one of them competes, you watch. And when the two of them share a ring together, you hold on to something because you genuinely don't know what's about to happen. Professional wrestling at its best is about making you feel something. It's about making you care so deeply about outcomes and characters and stories that a Monday night becomes the most anticipated part of your week. And right now, with this rivalry officially ignited, with Bianca Belair back and Stephanie Vaquer ready for war, Monday Night Raw has something that every great wrestling show needs. It has a story that makes you count down the days until the next episode. And that, more than anything else, is why this moment matters so much. Not just because it was exciting television, which it absolutely was. Not just because the crowd reaction was electric, which it genuinely was. But because it represents the beginning of something that has the potential to define this era of Monday Night Raw. Two elite performers. An undeniable collision course. And a WWE universe that is completely and totally locked in for every single moment of what comes next. This is the kind of wrestling that makes us fall in love with this sport all over again. This is the kind of moment that you talk about for years. And we are only at the very beginning. If you felt the electricity through the screen on this one, then you know exactly what Wrestling Impact is about. We don't just report the moments. We feel them with you. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because I genuinely want to know, are you Team Bianca or Team Vaquer as this rivalry heats up? Who do you think comes out on top when these two finally collide in the match this confrontation is clearly building toward? Let the debate begin down below. And if you're not already part of the Wrestling Impact family, hit that subscribe button right now and ring that notification bell, because trust me, you do not want to miss a single second of where this story goes next. This is Wrestling Impact. Stay locked in.